The Snyderverse may be done. DC may not be giving Zack Snyder more projects, but at least he can start his own new Snyderverse on Netflix with Rebel Moon, which I think this one is called Part 1, A Child of Fire. I'm just going off memory for that one. Anyway, Zack Snyder, I think, originally wanted to make a Star Wars movie, but then realized, wait, if I don't make it for Lucasfilm, I have more creative freedom. And Netflix was like, yeah, come on, do it. Do our thing. And this sucks. I'm sorry. And like, I've heard that there's like going to be a 3-hour director's cut coming out soon on Netflix, and I'm not buying it, Zack Snyder. In the past, you have gotten away with this where you're like, oh, well, the studio, they wouldn't let me get out my true vision because they had concerns about the runtime and getting butts and seats in the theater. But this is a streaming product. Netflix doesn't care about the runtime. They're not trying to get butts and seats. They don't have to worry about how many times it's playing in the theaters. They only did like a week-long limited engagement so that this film would qualify for like award season. This is a streaming product. So you can't pull this one on us again. You can't say, oh, you can't criticize this movie because my director's cut is the real vision. You could have just put that one out as your movie. I'm not buying it. Netflix has no incentive to put out 2 versions of this movie. There's no reason for them to say you need to put out a 2-hour version of the movie. Because what does Netflix do? They drop entire seasons of shows all at once. You know, that's like 8 to 10 hours of entertainment that they drop all in one day. They don't care about a 3-hour movie. So for anybody who's going to say, oh, well, your criticism of this movie, just wait for the director's cut. I'm not going to wait for the director's cut. I'm not buying what Zack Snyder's selling. It's gotten stale. And there's only so many times that you can say, oh, my true vision was hampered by the studios before you can go, you know, if every single time you try to make a movie, you can't get it done, knowing the studios that you're working for and knowing the limitations that you're working under, and you can't work in those limitations to get your story told, and you have to like go outside of that, you're not actually that great a creator. Like, some of the biggest innovations in storytelling have not been born out of a limitless canvas and zero restrictions. A lot of the most creative things come about because of limitations, because of restrictions, finding creative ways to work around that stuff. Like, one of the big reasons I think that a lot of, you know, movies these days have just become the generic CGI slop is because CGI has made it easy to show basically anything you want to see on screen now. There's no real filming limitations anymore because you can just do it all in CG. So when Zack Snyder tries to pull the whole thing where I think this movie got like 23% on the tomato meter and only a 68% audience score. I was expecting that to be higher because the Snyder cult tends to get a little bit more aggressively dogmatic. But even, you know, people that I follow on Twitter who are big Snyder fans didn't like this one. Does anybody remember that debate that I had with the Snyder Bro about Zack Snyder's DC movies? They didn't like this movie. Now, I again, right, I haven't even talked about the movie itself. I'm still just talking about the meta conversation about the way Zack Snyder makes movies. So let's talk about the movie itself. It's Zack Snyder, so it's got to be edgy and dark. Do you remember how he was once quoted as saying Batman could get raped in prison in my film? Now, he wasn't talking about Batman versus Superman. He was talking about Watchmen in that interview, which there is, in fact, sexual assault in the comic in Watchmen. So, like, you know, there's that, but that's still like the idea of, oh, you know, I'm going to tell my story, but it's going to be edgy. I'm going to tell Star Wars, except one of the opening scenes is going to be a bunch of stormtroopers who try to, you know, sexually assault like a farm girl. Like that's literally what causes the main character to go and be like, okay, I'm not going to hide anymore. I'm going to fight them now. And it's like, can we not use sexual assault as just like a cheap motivating plot device? Is very tasteless. I tweeted this out pretty much right after watching Rebel Moon. Welcome to Rebel Moon. We got a hardened badass with a code of honor for a hopeless cause. A hardened badass with a code of honor for a hopeless cause. A hardened badass with a code of honor for a hopeless cause. And a hardened badass with a code of honor for a hopeless cause. every single character in this movie is the same character. It's like once the main character is like, okay, we've got to recruit people to go and defend this farming village against the Empire. I mean, against the Mother World. It's literally they just like jump from planet to planet with basically no like establishing shots or anything like that. Like literally the establishing shots are, here is a shot of the planet from space, and then it immediately goes to them already having landed, talking to the next person that they're going to recruit, who joins up basically with no real motivation whatsoever. None of these characters actually seem to have any relationship with each other. They're all just kind of stand stoic, badass, waiting for the fight to happen. Transgirl Jade says, sounds like they ran out of creativity when writing characters. They're literally all the same character. There is a character who her name was Nemesis, and she's like this, like some of the characters, they have cool character design, but that's not what a character is. Like, just that's a cool costume. Costumes don't make characters. Now, I mean, okay, a good costume can get people interested in a character. Like a third of Star Wars lore happened because somebody made a cool outfit for Boba Fett. But still, one of the characters, her name is Nemesis, and she's like this, you know, hardened, again, she's a hardened badass with a code of honor for a hopeless cause. But like they meet up with her, and she's like just kind of not even like listening to them, and she's going off to go confront this spider lady who has kidnapped a girl, and she has to go and kill the spider lady. And once she's killed the spider lady, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go team up with you guys. And there's no connection between her killing the spider lady and her deciding to team up with those guys. There's a scene where they try to recreate the whole, you know, making a bet with Watto to free a slave or whatnot, except that like none of the wheeling and dealing was done in that scene. It's just the guy who owns the slave proposes, hey, if I can get my slave to do something that I was probably going to ask him to do anyway, I'll free him. But if he fails, you all are my slaves now. And like that, nobody even says, yes, we agree to this. It's just he proposes that, and then the slave goes out and does the thing. These scenes are so lazy, and it's just like every planet they go to, it's like, okay, here's the new character. Let's show them do something badass. Okay, they're in the party now. Let's go to the next planet where we can see the new character and he's doing something badass. Okay, he's in the party. Let's go to the next. It just keeps doing it over and over for 2 hours until they have a fight at the end. That's the movie. I'm not gonna watch this again with another hour of, I don't know, like, and like, I guess like the only argument that I've seen for why there's even a director's cut is that like this one was, I guess the original edit was like for PG-13, which I did notice that there's a shocking lack of blood in the action for these scenes, which, you know, knowing Zack Snyder likes having his edgy action with, you know, blood and ultra violence and all that stuff. I mean, dude directed Watchmen and 300. Those do not shy away from the edgier aspects of violence. So I did notice, I'm like, you know, she's killing those soldiers with an axe, and there's a shocking lack of blood while she's killing those soldiers with an axe. But yeah, it's boring. It's just boring. The special effects look pretty good, but, you know, that's kind of a given at this point. Like, if special effects are bad, you fucked something up somewhere. And Zack Snyder, he's a good visual director, right? Like, I think if you just had Zack Snyder be a second unit director, which usually handles like the action scenes for films, I think he'd probably be one of the best ones in the business. But he thinks that he's some auteur who has like a deep knowledge of how to do like edgy, morally gray characters and stuff like that, but he doesn't realize that he's Michael Bay, is what I'm saying. Michael Bay knows that he's Michael Bay. Michael Bay makes movies for 12-year-old boys explicitly. Michael Bay has no pretensions about what he is. He makes juvenile movies with cool action scenes, and that's it. He knows what he's doing. You can criticize him for what he's doing, but he knows what he's doing. Zack Snyder thinks he's better than that, thinks that he's telling a story. He thinks it says a lot about society if Clark is conflicted about whether to do the right thing while standing right in front of a stained glass window of Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. like, oh man, that's so deep. It's on so many levels. It's on one level. It's literally a direct comparison of Superman to Jesus, which is like the easiest thing in the world to do. People have been making that comparison forever. Zack Snyder's not unique there. Why? Just stop giving Zack Snyder movies. I'm just tired of him. Honestly, I'm glad to see that Snyder Bros that I'm following didn't like this movie, because hopefully it will be a wake-up point to them to realize, oh, maybe Zack Snyder isn't this visionary director. Maybe he does kind of make crap. But unfortunately, we're gonna get the director's cut in, I don't know, couple months, couple weeks. I don't know what the timetable is on that. I know we're getting a part 2 to this movie in April, so it's probably coming. The director's cut's probably coming out before part 2. And unfortunately, when that comes out, people are gonna be like, "This is the real experience. This is what Netflix wouldn't let them tell." And like, no, I'm not buying that. I'm tired of Zack Snyder stuff. I'll probably review part 2 when it comes out. Maybe. I wish he would direct the action on somebody else's movie. That's basically what I'm saying. Hey, thanks for watching. Your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. I stream Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Sundays at 2 p.m., so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons, with a very special shout out to my Whale Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone friend tier patron Pixel Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.